screen, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh. Okay, ladies and gents, we are back with Drive to Survive. It feels like it's been forever. This episode is, whoa guys, season 2, episode 9. This is all about having a bank robber as a team boss. And I think we're right about this. I could be wrong, but from my experience in racing, this is one dodgy scenario in Williams. I think the team boss is running out the back door with sponsorship money. Let's get into it. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. All right, we'll see what you guys think. So, looking at this, we are focusing this episode on Williams Formula 1 team. Now, Williams, guys, before we get into it, this team is one of the legendary teams of all time in Formula 1. They're incredible. Frank Williams is the original team boss. If you've never heard of him, check him out on YouTube and you'll see how amazing this guy was. He was around in the Senna days, the Mansell days. He's been around for so many drivers. They've won so many world championships, so many drivers championships. So in other words, constructors championships as the team win. They've won so many drivers championships. It'll make your head spin. The guy is a true legend of the sport. And you can see here, guys, that the problem here is it's not that, like Claire Williams, his daughter now, she's been around racing. She grew up around racing. And there's problems here, guys. And I can see it as we unpack and unfold this whole episode. You're going to see what I'm on about here. And she just doesn't have the pulse of the team. She doesn't. And by the way, this isn't, it's a woman, is it, Peter? It's nothing to do with being a woman. So before we even get into this, okay, guys, I was about to have a woman team owner in America and in Formula Atlantic, and this woman called Dee Dee. She was awesome. She had the best team. She had the best structure in the team. She was amazing. She was amazing. Everybody wanted to drive for this woman. She was incredible. So this is nothing to do with she's a woman, she's this, she's that, he's a woman hater. Not at all. And guys, look, you know me. If you've listened to my podcast before, you know it's nothing to do with that. I'm just giving you the brutal honesty. Okay? But I just want to clear that this has nothing to do with her being a woman. All right? In case I get in trouble here. All right? Now, we start off and we're introduced to Claire and her husband. So they're traveling to the track, and she says that she wants her ashes spread all over Silverstone, the Formula 1 track. That's where they're driving into. And then she says, well, actually, her dad wants that too. Now, that's what I do love about her. She does have a love for the sport. She does. She's been around it all her life. And she's taken over the team because she wants to keep the legacy continuing. Because again, like I'm saying, Frank Williams, the older team boss, her dad, was such a legend that she's under a lot of pressure, you know, and we'll give her that too. The woman is under a hell of a lot of pressure here, man, to get things right, because you're trying to take over from Frank Williams. Oh, man. Good luck with that. And I would say that for any man or woman who was taking after the team boss, Frank Williams, that is one tough cookie to crack. Very, very tough job. And I do believe it. I mean, and I do believe their love for the sport. Hell, a lot of people feel that way. You want to be around racing all your life. You want your ashes spread. It's a lovely thing to say. And I do believe that she does mean that. And I do, especially with Frank Williams as well. I do believe that. So we jump into the scenes anyway. And Claire says that she doesn't want to disgrace the team, like we were just saying. I mean, no shit, right? Obviously, she wants to live, she wants to make her dad proud. Totally understandable. Live to the legacy. And is she a good team boss? We're about to look into this more. I mean, you could say that she never raced in her life. Now, I wouldn't even say that that is the problem. Now, I definitely think it does help. Frank Williams used to race back in his days until, unfortunately, he had his accident and the poor man is in a wheelchair. But he did race. He was around it all his life, and it does definitely help. I mean, it's a tremendous help if you have been a racing driver before, if you transferred over to being an engineer or a mechanic, and then you worked your way up the ranks. It's a lot easier, okay? No doubt about it. So there's no doubt about it. In Claire's defense here, that's a fucking tough thing to do coming in. Never raced before. You've been around the business. Yes, you've been around everything. Absolutely. That does help too. But being a racing driver, you know, it gets you into the heart, the backbone of the motor racing itself. And I still wouldn't rule her out though with this, because we see Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team boss. How much success has he had when he came on board? And Toto came from a background of finance, not motor racing, finance. Right? So it doesn't mean that you have to be a racing driver. No, clearly not. Toto Wolff has proven that to everybody. It does help, but you can see that Toto Wolff is a very smart businessman. He's delegated people properly the right way. He's made it work. Now, of course, it helps as well when you have got a lot of money behind you, and they've thrown money at that Mercedes Hamilton car back in the day. Now, the problem here is with things like this is where the disadvantage comes in. Now, again, we're just kind of going off beaten track here, guys, but give me some rope on this one. You see now with the budget cap in 2023 and 2024, they're limited now to throwing money at the problem. Now Mercedes are struggling. So now where does Toto Wolff go? And you can't, yes, you blame him, but in a way you can't blame him because he never raced. This is the problem. He never raced. A guy like Frank Williams or a Christian Horner or who else am I thinking of? Like a Ron Dennis at McLaren. These guys would find a way to make it work. They'd find a way because they were growing up around racing cars themselves. So it's one of those things that you're up against it. That's why Toto Wolff is up against it now. He doesn't know which way to go now. He doesn't know which way to go. Claire Williams is the same. And like I was saying, you've got the resources, you've got the sponsorship, but where is that money going? Where is this money going? And I'm going to get into this more because I've even seen this in my racing days where I've seen a man, all right, so we're not talking about women here, where a man actually pickpocketed the sponsorship money and money that it was coming into the team, tried to keep it all for himself without trying to develop the car. I've seen that from my own eyes, and that was a man I'm speaking about. So this type of thing happens, and I think Claire Williams is up to the same here. But let's get into it more. So then we flash over to Paddy Lowe. Now, guys, if you don't know who Paddy Lowe is, maybe check him out on YouTube or Google. He has had a tremendous career in Formula One. I'm even just bringing it up here now. Paddy Lowe is one of the most successful engineers and technical directors in F1 history. He's had no fewer than 158 Grand Prix wins and 12 World Championship titles during a stellar career with Williams, McLaren and Mercedes. So he's an engineer. He's in charge of the design of the car as well. This guy's struggling. This guy's really struggling here with Williams. And it doesn't make sense because that to me is a big red flag. This isn't some random jocko off the street engineer. This guy has been around. He has serious experience. He's got a great name. And things cannot work for this guy. And we'll see it now as we go. So, great designer. Is it the money that's the problem? The resources to develop the car? Yes, it is, because Claire Williams even said it. Lack of funding. Now, at the same time, there's a bit of I wouldn't say bitching, but the connection between the team boss and Paddy Lowe is not great. And we're going to go into that a bit more. We're keeping a couple of things in the air here. And then we go over to introduction to George Russell. George Russell, look guys, I think most of us know who George Russell is. He's with Mercedes now, but in this episode of Drive to Survive, he's with the Williams team. It's his first year, he's a rookie. He's quick driver, yes, absolutely. He won the Formula 2 championship previous to coming into Formula 1. He's a great qualifier, but he lacks in racing. He's not for me, I don't think this guy's a true born racer. And there is a lot of that in racing. You can have a lot of guys that could suck at qualifying but be amazing racers. Or you could have a guy who's really good at both. Or you could go the other end. A guy who's unbelievable in qualifying, just doesn't show up at the race day. Or, at worst, he'll keep his position. Or maybe he might take 1 or 2 moves, but he's just lacking that extra little 2% as a real Ayrton Senna racing driver. You know? Ayrton Senna, he wants the fight. He needs the fight. He rises to the occasion on the fight. George Russell isn't one of these type of guys. But he's a very good pilot at the end of the day. So I'm not here to throw him under the bus here. And it was interesting here as well. And this is so true, guys. This is so true. He even says, and as the camera is pointed at him, he's doing an interview with the guy. And he says that, out of the hundreds of thousands of drivers that have tried to get through to F1, I'm one of the lucky ones. And hey, my hat off to him here, sir. Well done, sir. That was a nice thing to say. He's feeling lucky. He's not trying to say, oh, look how amazing I am. You know what I mean? I'll give him that. I like that about him there. He was humble about that. And that's a nice quality to have. But it is very, very true. The amount of people that have not got there due to lack of sponsorship or what country you're from. Because that's a huge part of it. And it would be in the hundreds of thousands of drivers. It's a big world of people that have never got there, including myself. But that's just the reality of the situation, guys. So then we flash over to Robert Kubica, Kubica, it's pronounced both, but they don't show much of him now. But yeah, they were saying that he was like the up and coming guy. He's been very quick. He was out of Williams Formula 1 for, I think, did they say 8 years? But he had a horrible crash in rally cars. It was awful, terrible, horrendous crash. And the guy was lucky enough to actually walk again. There was a moment where I think, as far as I remember, he wasn't looking good. So, well done for coming back, Robert. It was great to see. And then we flash over, guys. Now, I want you to take a look at that. At around roughly, if you're watching Netflix, this program episode, go to 9 minutes and I think it's 9 minutes and 11 seconds, 9 minutes to 15 seconds of this episode. And it shows you that the sim car that they have in the factory. Now, I've spoken about this in a couple of other episodes where the sim is incredibly important. As you can see in this episode, it's like one big screen, right? It's a computer, right? Like a sim car, like a PlayStation, if you want to call it like that. But it's quite close to the real thing, the sim. And the driver uses this cockpit in-house in the factory, goes around the track that they're going to. He gets a feel of the car. He'll try different settings on the car. He'll report back to the team that, no, that was not good. We'll try this. We'll try that. So in fairness, the technology of Formula 1 is so good these days that going from a racing car into a sim is incredibly beneficial. Now, if it was the other way around, where if you never actually set your ass in a racing car ever, and you went into a sim car and you were like a champion at sim, then you went to the real thing, forget it. It's all over. You don't have a hope in fucking hell. So it's very, very beneficial for the drivers coming from the real thing into a sim, because they can translate and they can tell you the difference, or they know the difference between the real and fake, right? Sorry, maybe fake's the wrong word, but you get what I mean. So in other words, if they know that something's feeling good on the sim, right, they're going through Beckett's now at Silverstone, one of the corners, they're like, okay, that feels good, but they'll still know, they'll have a touch of reserve in their mind going, well, look, we'll see now what the real thing is like, but at least they have a good starting point. And you can see the screen now here in the episode. And you can see you got two engineers sitting there, right? What they're doing is they're looking at the screens. They can see the graph of the acceleration, the braking force, the G-force going through each bend. They've got everything. They've got the engine temperatures, the oil temperature. I mean, you name it. They can see if there's any vibration out of a certain part of the car. The list is a bottomless pit of the information they have. Now, what exactly these guys were looking at on the screen, we don't know. Okay, because every software will be designed for their own thing, And I can tell you this, they certainly wouldn't be showing graphs on Netflix if it was that obvious to the people watching. So they'd have their own custom stuff. Now, because the bottom line is they wouldn't want anybody looking at what they're looking at on screen in case any other teams are watching this thing, which is very good. I think it's, you keep everything under wraps. Very important to do that. But it's fascinating, guys, and I would check that out on YouTube. And I'll also do it too for probably an episode as well. I'll go into more detail of what the Sims are like. But not just that, like, even I know this as a racing driver, guys. I think I've mentioned this before. When I was racing in 1999 in Spa, I didn't know the Formula 1 track. And I've seen it on TV. I knew the track, right? I'd know it in the top of my head. But I didn't know the flow of the track, if you get me. How does it feel? What's the rhythm, And I sat my ass on PlayStation 1. We're going way back here. This is like when the technology or the graphics and gameplay was crap compared to what we have now. Even I got the flow of the track playing PlayStation 1, the Formula 1 97 game. It tremendously helped me. And I can guarantee you there was other drivers doing the exact fucking same. We all try and get that extra little advantage. And what my point is here is sim cars are so important that, like, even for me at PlayStation 1 level, it really tremendously helped me. God only knows how much I wouldn't be able to gauge the exact measurement now of the Sims they have now, as you see in the factory here, how unbelievable they are. I could gauge it off the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. It's incredible. It's a completely different world. Completely different world. But to actually measure it from 1 to 10, hard to kind of put a number on it. But it really is, guys. You should check out the Sims, and hey, even if you have a bit of money yourself, maybe buy a Sim. You can get it, you can buy Sim, guys, for, okay, not the greatest quality, but you can get one for 500 or 600 quid. You hook it up, you got the cockpit seat, you got the steering wheel, you got the pedals. You have great time, honestly. Great fun with these Sims. So, okay, let's move it on. Now, here's where the real shit hits the fan, I think, guys, and why I'm thinking Claire Williams is a bit of a bank robber, like other team bosses out there. And we flash over to pre-season testing. Now, pre-season testing, what is that? Obviously, well, it's probably self-explanatory. It's before the season starts. Now, when is pre-season testing? It's usually about a month before, a couple of weeks before. It just all depends. Now, normally, what we see these days in 2024, or a few years before that, we see the pre-season testing at the week before the race. So, again, back a couple of years ago, it might be a month before the race. It could be 2 weeks before the race. It could be a week before. Anyway, point is, it's before the first round of the season. Now, guys, you have to remember here, the season's over December time. Now, they're not finishing off the year and 2024, locking up the stuff just before Christmas, and then they go back to the factory, then start working on the next year's car. These guys are working on the next year's car in the summertime. So even when you hear this podcast episode, I can guarantee you, ladies and gents, there is the teams in Formula 1 right here, right now, that are working on the 2025 cars. They're using their feedback and their knowledge and putting it into next year's car already. They're thinking ahead, okay? So my point here is, Before preseason testing, you've got a couple of months. You've got Christmas, November, December, January, February. You've got maybe 3 to 4 months before you get to preseason testing. Everybody should be fucking ready at this stage. Cars ready to rock and roll on that track. Williams arrive up at preseason testing and the car is not ready for the first 2 days. Guys, it's a sin. That is a sin because you're so limited to preseason testing. You only get 2, 3, maybe 4 days and that's it and you're done. And a lot of your work in the factory before preseason testing has to be on the ball, like Johnny on the ball, ready to go bang. Because you know you're limited with testing when you get to the track at preseason testing. And they don't have a fucking car ready to go. 2 days of preseason testing? That is just criminal. I can't explain to you how important this preseason testing is. It's the backbone of all your development at the factory over Christmas time and into the new year. It's everything. It gives you the confirmation that you're going in the right way or the wrong way, and they don't have it. What's going on? This is the moment that really calls out alarm bells for me, guys. I'm like, whoa. Because at the end of the day, they still have all their team in place. So that means they've got some money to spend. They've got sponsorship on hand. It's not like they had to shut down the factory for 2 months because they couldn't afford to pay their wages to all the teams and the mechanics. They had everything in place. So where's this extra money going? Why couldn't they have it all ready to go? Now, listen, I get it. If you rock up to the preseason testing, all of a sudden your drivers are literally sitting in the cars, strapped up, belts tightened, and they turn on the engine, they're ready to go. They come out the pit lane, they do 1 lap and the engine blows up. That's a totally different story. That means at least they were ready to a fucking degree, but these guys didn't even have the cars ready where the drivers could sit in for 1 fucking lap. Not even 1 lap. My God, man. My God. You have to wonder what they were doing over the Christmas period. Insane. Okay, so here it really starts to kick off now. Now this is a huge hint to me that there's something up with this Claire Williams, okay? Because Claire, we're at pre-season testing. They now know that their cars are not going to be able to get onto the grid. All the teams are there, mechanics are there, engineers are at the track. Claire Williams arrives in a few days later or a day later. We don't know the exact timeline, but she arrives in when all the teams are ready to go, okay? And she arrives in with the extra pieces of equipment they need, spare parts, whatever it is, right? The new features. She arrives in with this stuff to the track, which is, by the way, that can be very common, right? She arrives in with the stuff so they can put it on the car. She's in the pit garage talking to another member of the team, right? She's got the spare parts, the equipment in her car. She doesn't run over to Paddy Lowe, who's the main guy that you need to be speaking to here. She's not running around looking for Paddy. In fact, she's not even on the phone before she gets to the track. Hey, Paddy. Okay, listen. Yeah, we're just coming in the entrance now. We'll be about 2 to 3 minutes tops. We've got the parts here. Yeah. Do you want to meet us at the car? Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'll see you there in 2 minutes, Paddy. Thanks. She's not doing this, right? In other words, you got to get your fucking ass in gear here, okay? Get the part, get it into Paddy's hands as quick as you can, as you can, and right now it's down to Paddy. Get his ass in gear. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Let's go. This is a fucking get out as quick as you can. You're against the clock here. She doesn't do that. She goes into the pit garage when she arrives, talking to some other guy, and Paddy Lowe has to come over to her. I just can't believe this. This guy has to go find her. And he even says it, and guys, you can see it on camera. What did they say? I haven't written it down here. Paddy says, hey, do you have the bits? And she's like, oh yeah, they were in the car. They're in the car. And you can see the look on his face, and believe me, ladies and gents, I know what an engineer, when he's looking for bits and pieces off a team owner, I know what that feeling is like. I've been there, done that, and I've seen engineers struggle dealing with team owners, right? Because some of them can be fucking impossible. And the engineer's just standing there with his thumb up his ass, wondering, what the fuck am I going to do here? Right? This guy had to go chase her to get the parts. And here's the worst part. She's the owner of the team. She's the one that should care about the team. Not him. Not him. And he's the one chasing her. Fuck me, man. Fuck me. And, you know, listen, just in case people are thinking, I'm just going to remind people again, if you think I'm having a go off women, absolutely not. Because I've just said that I've even seen it in my days, right? I've had male engineers, men team bosses, just like this. All right? So it's unbelievable. And then we roll on. And in the next scene, we see Paddy Lowe takes of leave of absence for personal reasons from the team. Yeah, I know exactly why he's taking a leave of absence, because he's not getting the help that he needs. He doesn't have the money behind him. He's not getting the resources behind him. He's getting fucked over in the team. They don't give a shit. And it's bullshit. And then Claire Williams even turns around. She says, there's no point of wasting energy talking about this. What matters is Formula One. This is her comment about her top engineer who's had an amazing career and success in Formula One. That's her reaction to Paddy Lowe leaving. Like, she couldn't turn around and say, oh, you know, we're incredibly disappointed. We hope Paddy comes back. Or, look, we've had some differences, unfortunately, Paddy, myself. We wish him the best of luck. He's an amazing man, amazing engineer. There's nothing. There's nothing. She even just turns it down. I'm not going to waste my energy on this. Are you fucking kidding me? I'd be on my hands and knees begging the guy to stay in the fucking team. He has an amazing track record in Formula One. Don't let him fucking leave. In fact, if I could, I'd fucking tie him up with rope. Right? Gag the fucker in his mouth. Hang on to the guy at all costs. You know, it's just insane. Insane. And then this tells me, guys, because again, like I said, I've seen team bosses, male and female, in my career, pocket the money, but yet they all put on a song and dance. Why weren't the parts there for this preseason testing? Where was the money for this? Why didn't it come? Was she pocketing money, or was she actually trying to not cook the books, but she was robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know that saying? Maybe she was running low on cash over here, and then she had to hide everything from everybody else, so then don't say a word, but then she had to wait until a few more days, this couple of weeks, to get the money to pay for these new parts that he needed. Maybe there was something like that. That can easily happen in motor racing, guys. I'm telling you now, it can be fucking ugly, very fucking ugly. But something tells me as well that maybe this woman is pocketing the cash. It's either she's pocketing the cash from sponsors, and I've seen this, or she's really running low on cash and she's robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now, it doesn't seem like it, because at the end of the day, she still had the parts at the pre-season testing, but the parts only came that day. So if she was really strapped for cash, robbing Peter to pay Paul, she'd probably be a few weeks behind now. Really, she actually was, okay? But again, obviously these parts for this part of the car, the mechanics could have obviously worked on them, fixed them. But she should have had them months ago. Months ago. Simple things like this. Now, maybe we could be right. It could be robbing Peter to pay Paul, but I honestly think something's up here with the money, man. Something is up with the money. Is she pocketing the cash? Hard to know, but, and guys, I'll always say maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And then we flash over to George Russell. Now, George Russell seems like a nice enough guy, but it kind of tells you, and I've known racing drivers like this here, where this guy can be a bit of a fucking asshole, I think, too, here. I mean, you see him there, he drives up to Silverstone, and the window comes down, the stewards are asking him politely, so hey, can you get on the podium today, George? And everybody's shaking his hand, he's like, yeah, go away from me, I'm bored of you, go away from me, get out of here. People were being nice to him. Now look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he knows them and they're assholes to him, but all of a sudden the camera flicks on and they're the nicest people in the world. You know, you never know. So I'm even going to give him that, you know. Maybe the guy's not an asshole. Maybe he's the loveliest guy in the world. But it just seems very odd to me that he's like, and the camera's on him here, you know. Like, Jesus, man. Come on. What the hell? And it's his home Grand Prix. And you don't want to be saying hello and hey, thanks guys, I appreciate it, you know, and thank you. I don't know. And then we're going to round it off, guys, here today, where Claire Williams, they finish the race in Silverstone, I think it was, 19th position. Fucking nowhere, in other words. And she turns to Frank Williams, her dad, the legend. This guy is like a 7th Dan black belt in karate or taekwondo or jiu-jitsu or whatever you call it, right? The guy's a grandmaster ninja at Formula 1. And then she turns around and she says, well, Dad, you know, there's some improvement. We only got lapped once today. That's your answer? You only got lapped once? You're speaking to one of the legends of all time who's used to winning championships, had Ayrton Senna in his car, used to winning races, and that's your fucking response? And yet the worst part of it was Frank Williams kind of smiled. Now look, maybe he knew the camera was on him. Maybe he just doesn't give a shit anymore. You know, maybe he's daddy's little girl. I don't know. God only knows. But I was disappointed with Frank Williams there in that one. I would have given her a fucking look of death. What are you doing to my team? Are you kidding me? You know, man or woman, team boss, doesn't matter. I'd be giving them the look of death here. No, it just horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I mean, can you imagine? That's like saying to a black belt, you're up against a white belt beginner in karate and saying, well, hey, you know, Daddy only got hit once instead of twice today. And your dad's a black belt. And she's meant to be a black belt. Now, guys, stinks to high heaven. I've seen these problems in racing all throughout my life. And look, it's good entertainment and it's good watching, no doubt about it. And I hope this kind of helps you to give a bit more insight because this shit is real. Now, look, before we finish off, I will say I don't know if Claire Williams is pocketing the cash for certain, for Christ's sake, okay? I don't. There's serious communication breakdown in that team, and that is for goddamn sure. And the fact that she's not all over Paddy Lowe when she arrives with the parts, she's not even looking for him, she doesn't even call him pre-arriving at the track, she's not even doing anything, that tells me a lot about what's going on in the team. But hey guys, that's Season 2, Episode 9 of Netflix Drive to Survive. We'll be back with Season 2, Episode 10.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.